I'm Mr.G. This is Scott. How you doing?
All right.
So this is the EV Hangout. Welcome. This is the EV Hangouts. Rising tide lifts all boats. We're all here to help each other, which is totally awesome. We're doing a thing where we go from gas to electric conversion. It's just an option. It's like electric hot rodding. And tonight we got some special guests in the house. We got Chris Rocky Hernandez. How you doing?
Good, man. Thank you. Good to see you again.
Nice. And we're just going to go around the room and say hi. But tonight the topic is a recap of last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Last week. Last week we were in Denver for State of Charge. This is a massive expert show. It was so fun. It was like amazing. It was like all that people, the right people. Let's keep going around the room. Jonathan Knight in the house. How you doing?
Hey, Ron. Good. It's good to see you again after the show.
He's got his Honda tucked away in a garage, secretly incubating. Every so often he goes over there and gives it some love. He's got a 69 Honda. I don't know. I just made that up. What year?
75.
75 Honda. Honda Accord. And this one's got a little kick. It's going to have some Tesla juice. All right. And we also got Tyler Joy. We have such a cool highlight from the show of him doing a battery swap live for us, and we will show that on the show tonight, and we'll talk about it a little bit, which is going to be so awesome. Tyler, how you doing?
Not too bad. Great to be here. Sorry, no camera tonight. In the middle of a move, so.
All right, no problem. Over here. Okay. And also in the house for the first time joining us. If you're ever wondering about your cables, man, the guy in charge of cables. Oh, this is Terry. The guy in charge of of cables, Carter. What's happening, Carter?
How's it going?
Good, man. Good. So, if you're not thinking about cables, which I don't really think about cables, I'm like, oh yeah, you just buy the 2-aught, right? But actually what's happening is, what happened? Maybe turn it off, turn it on. What happens is you have EMF. Actually, Carter, tell us about the cables real quick. Why do I need your cables? I mean, come on.
Not everyone needs our cables. Basically, if you're running, 400 volts or 800 volts, the shielded cable that we sell has, some extra protection in it. But if you're using it for your phase leads, so if you're not using a drive unit where the phase leads come right out of the inverter into the motor, and they have to run a little bit, the switching in those phase leads can generate a lot of noise. And that can trip out your CAN bus. It can cause all sorts of weird communication issues. So the shielded cable that shields to the case of the motor in the case of the inverter, that really cuts down on noise a ton. So anyways, if you're running the Hyper 9, shielding is still important. I've seen those inverters trip out laptops and CAN bus systems. But it's not so much of a big deal because the voltage isn't as high. So your switching voltage is not as high. But if you're up in the 800 volt range, it's pretty important.
Nice. Yeah, and we'll get more into it. Put your website in the chat so I can pull it up. And then the man, the myth, the legend. Leather. I haven't had dinner. The man, the myth, the legend, the guy who brought us all together to Denver, the guy behind the guy, Harry. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ron. How are you doing, man?
All right. Terry, I'm telling you, man, I'm really impressed with your show. I really felt like I walked into a room filled with experts, the people that are doing innovation, and no one had a fat ego. Everyone's like, sure, let's just talk about how we're going to solve these problems. Let's talk about safety. Let's talk about performance. Let's talk about repeatability. Let's talk about the new products on the market. Let's talk about your plan. And here, look at all these cars we just built. It was awesome. So awesome. Thank you for putting together such a great show.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for the kind feedback, and I really appreciate you making the trek out from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And I've already gotten
so,
a bunch of compliments on the T-shirt too, Terry.
Nice. Good.
And I didn't fill out my survey yet, but there you go. I was
Okay.
impressed. So let's do state of charge first. And then we're actually on location here with Scott. And he's got a new startup called Scott and Motors. Yeah. And he's got a DD on axle. And we actually could walk around and show you it. So we've got a Tesla motor on the table, and we did some welding today. Actually, Terry, I did some welding with you, and now I did some welding with Scott. So that's kind of my way of getting in the door. I want to get to know people. I want to see more. I want to see your shop. And
Nice.
If you want to weld something, I got your back. Pretty cool. So okay, let's start. Let's highlight. Hey, Talik's in the house. All right, Talik's here. How you doing? Okay, we'll let him settle in. He's getting in there, and I'll make him a co-host real quick. So there we go. Okay, so I want to start with the highlights of the show. Now, first of all, Terry, can you just walk us through why and how did you put together this show? You're on year 3, but just walk us through like the beginning a little bit.
Sure. So basically in 2021, I was a professional test driver for Audi, and I was driving the RS e-tron GT, which is their flagship Halo electric vehicle. And, the performance of that vehicle just totally blew me away. Realized I'd never been in a Tesla or anything like that. And then, got to drive a few of the other electric Audi vehicles. And, so from there, it was just a matter of, being an old school hot rod guy. My daily driver is a 52 Ford F3 hot rod truck that I built, combustion. But I thought, it'd be super awesome to combine kind of this new modern technology and whatnot with kind of the old school cool of the classic cars. And the story, I think I even told the story the first year. I spent about 3 years building this truck, and just I took the winters off because I was doing it in my garage. So, but when I was all said and done, I was super, super excited and super proud of it. And when I went to show my family and take them for a ride, my wife didn't like it because she said it was too loud, and my older son said it smelled like gasoline. He didn't like it, and then my younger son was worried that I was polluting the planet because it doesn't have any kind of catalytic converter or anything like that. So that really kind of got me thinking.
Oh, the hot rod truck.
Yeah.
Send me a photo of that.
That got me thinking. What's that?
Send me a photo of that. People have to see that.
Oh yeah.
If
sure.
you can, you can finish the story. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No worries. So basically that kind of opened my eyes too. Like, all right, well, maybe my next build should be a little bit more eco-friendly as well. And then, like I said, once the performance of that RS e-tron GT, that was kind of it. So, so 2022 started on the range with e-mobility. I also have quite a bit of history in the bike industry, and so electric bikes were kind of a natural segue there. So I was doing some work with electric cargo bikes, and decided I was going to do a conversion. But
wait, I got to interrupt you for a second, Terry.
Yeah.
Forgive me. I'm going to ask a really dumb question.
Yes.
What is the difference between ohm on the range and state of charge?
That's a great question, and actually people do get it confused. So ohm on the range is my company. State of charge is the event. So state of charge is the educational conference. Ohm on the range is the business.
I was trying to have Johnny join tonight, and I said, "Oh yeah, we're going to talk about state of charge today." He's like, "Okay, what about it? Like how to set the level?" I'm like, "No, the event."
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so basically, long story short, when I was looking at trying to figure out how to go about doing this in 2022, the resources were kind of few and far between, and there was people talking about doing it on forums, of course, and you had the Hyper 9 crews and the people doing Cascadia, and then people talking about Orion and Thunderstruck and the Lithium, and it's kind of all over the map. And so I just figured, why not kind of bring the experts together? So part of it was selfish. I was like, let's bring the experts to me. But then also, I just thought it'd be super cool to bring the community together. So part of it was, somewhat luck in that there's a decent community here in Colorado. So right away, when I realized that like Kevin Erickson was in Denver with the Mr. Mopar Man and the Electrolyte, and super friendly, willing to share kind of guy, amazing builder. And then the Inspire EV Mustang, turns out they're like 10, 15 minutes away from me. So yeah, when I started talking to some folks, and I was like, hey, what do you guys think about trying to get people to come together, and we can talk about all the different ways there are to do these conversions. Because especially back then, Jimmy Underhill at EV Swap, he built that Land Cruiser, by himself, just bought a wrecked Nissan Leaf at a junkyard. I forget what he, told us at the time, $10,000 or something like that, and did the whole swap on his own, really low budget, nice build that he uses all the time out in Moab. And then on the other end of the spectrum, like the Inspire EV guys using that Revolt crate motor, and I know they, back in the day, they spent $25,000 just on batteries, so I mean, it's, you had kind of this big spectrum of like kind of cheap do it yourself, kind of the higher end kit type solutions and whatnot, and then everything in between. So yeah, I just wanted to bring folks together and talk about all the different ways there are to go about this. So that was kind of beginning. I didn't really frankly plan on it being an annual event, but the feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and people were asking, okay, when's the next one, when's the next one, when the next one. So I did it again in 23, and then again, super positive feedback, people asking when I was going to do it again. And so did it again this year. So
nice.
And was this
And
the
you
first?
just recently, go ahead, Todd.
I was gonna say, is this the first year it was the same weekend as Expo, or has that always been a thing?
no, so this was actually the first year that Expo came to Denver. So the first 2 years I did it in August, and I did it in Golden, which is a little bit, community, a little bit west, actually where I live. But when I went to the Electrify Expo the first year that they actually was in 2022. Their first year was the same first year for me. And I went out to Long Beach to their industry day. And at that time, they didn't do anything with conversions. It was all just OEM stuff. But I knew it was only a matter of time before they would make their way to Denver. It just seemed like a natural market for them. And so when I found out that they were going to come to Denver this year, I reached out to them and just said, hey, I do this event. There's some crossover there. It'd be nice if we could collaborate a little bit. And so I moved my event from August to July, and then also from Golden to Denver, and found out where they were doing it. And so I found this beautiful venue that was just, 2 blocks away. And I figured that way folks coming, because I get cars from all over that come. I mean, I think attendees wise, this year we had folks from 23 states. The UK, Canada, and even a gentleman from the Netherlands came. But we also get cars, the first year. I mean, we had cars from Idaho and California and Texas and Utah and Colorado and New Mexico. And so, people are making a trek, especially bringing the vehicles. So I thought instead of making them choose between coming to State of Charge or coming to Electrify Expo, just do it the same weekend, and that way they could kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
What's wild? You had another coincidence. Well, I did. So I went for a training session one day later at a place called Sashco, which is, believe it or not, how to use caulking guns, like actual sealing your house. And so it's green in another way. I know it sounds funny. Ha 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 ha. Yep. I went to a conference for caulking and can't resist. But anyway, so that was like a day after. So I had a day in between, and that was just totally worked out. So good job moving it into July. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So let's go through the conference a little. Pretty cool stuff. I really was inspired. I mean, this is like a Lotus with 2 Hyper 9s. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And they were doing donuts and whatnot. And then this is a great conference. They did a live feed from the from Revolt, and they had Eddie, and they had the Wheeling Welshman. They had just won some crazy record on a motorcycle. They have the low capacity, but high C rating batteries that they're advising on. I'm like, oh. And then there's so many, there's so many good resources. I mean, it was just like endless, just resources. And, I never would have thought of some of these things. There's just so many things I had to take a picture of. Even cabling, I was like, oh, that's interesting. And never would have thought about some of the ways that people are doing stuff. We even had a meetup afterwards. Got to see some of the people on the bus build. And I don't know if you know, but last summer we did a bus project, and that's where I met Scott. He's right here. Yeah. And we also had Talik was there. And who else was at State of Charge that was at this? I think Chris Rocky Hernandez showed up for a little bit. That was pretty cool. And we had a great time doing that. But, man, rising tide lifts all boats. At this State of Charge, we got to learn even more. Oh, I didn't share this photo. Here we go. Sorry. So we got there we go. So we got to learn even more. Zach was there. Yeah, Zach was there. That was pretty cool. So anyhow, let's talk about, I would like to hear from everybody what they got out of the conference. We're going to do a round table of what you got out of it, what's your next move? What'd you get out of the conference, and what's your takeaway? So let's go to Chris, Rocky, and then we'll go around the room, and then we'll actually take a tour of Scott's new facility here. So take it away, Chris. What do you got?
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, Terry, you and I had talked before. I interviewed you for that National Science Foundation thing that I was working on. So it was great to meet you in person, and the conference, of course, was amazing. I had a blast. It was the first time I had been there. I think the thing I took away the most is, and I think everybody had kind of commented on this, was sort of the camaraderie associated with it. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said hopefully it kind of stays that way. I think that it will, to an extent. It'll probably get a little more competitive as things start to take off. But I think in general, in my experience in other industries that are also kind of technologically based but also competitive, people are definitely wanting to meet each other and see what kind of the state of the art is and the state of the technology is. Now, whether they choose to share all their ideas and stuff is another story, but I think, at least in great detail, like they are, but I think at a minimum, just kind of meeting the people in the industry and at least for now, learning about what everybody's doing in a great detail is super helpful. And everybody was so nice and willing to talk. Years ago, I competed in the American Solar Challenge, where we built a solar race car and raced it from Chicago to LA. I did that twice. And nobody wanted to talk about anything. They wanted to all talk to each other and shoot the shit and hang out and whatever. And that was fun, but nobody wanted to share any ideas. And so to get people to actually do this and to be a part of it and to talk about it is really good on you. And even if it doesn't last, I think let's enjoy it while it does. And I really look forward to next year and want to say thanks for all your willingness to help out with people new to the industry, such as myself. And, let's keep it going. I'll be there next year if you have it.
Right on. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Nice. And let's also talk with let's go to Carter. Carter, first time I'm meeting Carter and at State of Charge. Carter's awesome. You know, you never think about cables until you meet Carter. Carter talked to me about cables for like a half hour. And I was like, wow, I never even thought about it because the EMF. And then also Scott's got a advanced degree. He's a professor of physics and chemistry, right?
Yeah.
How is it possible?
Oh God.
Let's put him on the spot. Why is it that a wire with AC pulsing, how does it touch the other wires? It's almost how transformers work, right?
Well, Carter would certainly be better at answering that. But I know current is carried via fields, basically.
Oh, yeah.
And fields extend beyond the
Like
the
the
wire
cabling.
itself.
Yeah.
So if the current is strong enough, then the field gets stronger and its field lines extend further, I would imagine, and that could interfere with electronics nearby.
Yeah, it
But
can
that's all
shut
I'm
it
going to
down.
say on that.
Okay, I put him on the spot. But we were talking about light particles earlier, so he made my head explode. So okay, Carter, why do we need to shield our cables beyond just the regular rubber coating on top of a 2-aught cable? Like, why would I need that?
I mean, it basically that shield will help contain the noise that's generated. When you have, the right hand rule of current flowing through a wire, right? It's like your thumb is the path of current, your fingers are the magnetic field that's generated from it. If you had other wires running past it, and that magnetic field goes through that other wire, that generates a current through that wire. So, I mean, that's how transformers work, right? So, if you can catch that stray field in your shield, that helps reduce the noise in the cables that are adjacent to it. So it's the same thing when you shield. Like sometimes you'll find CAN bus cable that's shielded, and that's keeping noise that's coming from the outside into that cable. It gets caught in that shield and sent to chassis, which is a big mass of capacity, right?
Now,
Yeah, it's
the
kind
big
of overlap with I deal with this in audio cables too. You definitely, you literally get noise if you don't have shielded cables. So it's interesting how it, with power. I mean, it's all electrical, but this is more a high power version of that.
Yeah, when
And,
you're switching 800 volts, it's there's a lot of ringing that happens, and especially at high frequencies. You're up in the 10, 15 kilohertz range. So yeah, there's a lot of noise sometimes.
How is the
Wow.
problem different between AC and DC?
great question.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh, so what's the difference in interference between AC and DC current?
So, I mean, DC current is such a slow movement. So if you think about, DC power coming out of your battery and going into your inverter, ready to be switched, that's such a slow movement. Even if you, put your foot all the way down the pedal instantly and you see that step function of current, that's still so slow compared to everything else in the world. So you don't really get noise radiating because of DC current. You can sometimes have noise rippling out of your inverter on your DC line. It's a lot less common because a lot of inverters, like if you have that kind of noise, you're usually throwing off your CAN bus system anyway. So most inverters have some sort of filtering or a ferrite or something inside that keeps that from radiating too far. But the AC stuff, because it's the sub-hertz or sub-field switching is like, in the kilohertz range, like you're switching a lot of noise out there. I know like Cascadia, their new stuff all is like, they have variable PWM on their switching. And so you can actually hear it when you get up to higher speeds, it'll switch frequency up into a higher frequency range. So it's, I don't know, shielding is important.
So the big thing that I see the difference that I was, in layman's right here, I'm more of like a mechanic that can verify electricity. I don't know if I'm an electrical engineer, but it's pretty clear that you have another shield, a metal cage, if you would, around the other shield. So it's like cable, then the rubber like case, and then you have an EMF case, and then a case on that. So it's pretty interesting. I think I might try. I'm going to use these for my AC cables because I don't want interference with anything else. Pretty cool.
I actually have a question about the applicability of these. Do you know the spatial extent that interference can occur at around a cable carrying 400 volts or 800 volts?
It really depends on the application. It depends on how well the shielding is. It can be, a mile away. An inch could be a mile, basically. So if you're running, that's why you don't want to run your low voltage cabling right alongside in parallel with your high voltage cabling, especially your phase leads. But just moving an inch or 2 inches or 3 inches away could be night and day difference.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Something to think about. I never would have thought about cables. You just install them, And then the other question I had for Carter was, you have this, usually you put in like a 600 amp fuse, but if you look at the I didn't pull it up, but if you look at the fuse chart on the 2-aught cable, you're not quite at 750 amps, which is what you need for let's say the SME K1 controller on a Hyper 9. But what Carter was explaining to me is that you're only spiking for a little bit, and sort of that's kind of like maybe for a second or two, and that's why it survives it. Is that right, Carter?
Yeah, you'd be hard pressed to pull 100 horsepower out of a Hyper 9 continuously. That would be quite the feat. You could probably do it, but you'd have trouble cooling the motor also.
So
basically,
there's a big difference between continuous and peak.
Yeah, peak ratings, it differs by every manufacturer. Some people rate peak ratings at 10 seconds. Some of it is 30 seconds. We have a phrase around the shop called continue-ish, which is our when someone says, oh, well, it'll do, these will do 300 horsepower. And it's like, well, 300 horsepower isn't the peak rating. Peak rating's like 500 and the continuous rating's like 250, but like 300 continue-ish, it might do it for long enough as you need it, but not forever. And so
I feel, are you from the East Coast? I feel like that's an East Coast thing to say. Continue-ish. It'll kind of work.
I feel like it's probably like a Midwest thing to say, but no, I'm West Coast, born and raised.
All right. All right.
Maddie was kind of talking about this the other day with the top end out for the bike, because your peak power to push, if you're how long, you're going to do about a minute full out trying to set a land speed record, but that's an extreme scenario, right? Trying to really push, you're being limited by friction and aerodynamics at that point.
Yeah,
sure.
Basically, when you're on land speed, you're trying to peak out the whole time.
Yeah,
but you're only doing it for maximum. If it's Bonneville, I think it's 7 miles. If it's El Mirage, I think it's 3. So you have a short amount of time to make this happen. So pretty cool. So awesome, Carter. Yeah, thanks for bringing that to the table. Let's keep on going around the horn here. Tyler Joy in the house. Tyler, what'd you think of the conference, and what'd you take out of it?
I thought the conference was awesome. And honestly, for me, the biggest thing was the networking. Like, I don't know if you know this, Ron, but before your podcast, the only interaction I had with the EV conversion market was emails to Felton, and that's about it. And whatever I could find in the forums. So just getting Yeah.
That's so
So
awesome.
getting a bunch of feedback, seeing what everyone else is doing, like it's very informative. And now I have a lot of contacts, so I can get some sanity checks.
Nice. And yeah, you brought the actual machine and you did a swap. You want to walk us through this swap?
Sure. Yeah. So I guess for those who don't know, we have a Datsun 620 that we race in 24-hour lemons. And to do that, we got to swap our batteries. Right now, we're swapping about every hour. So right now, Ron's just kind of showing you that's my lotto lock. So we have a maintenance switch with lockout, so it's safe. That side of the car has some quick connect pins. So when you slide the battery in and interface with that, so you only need one person or only be on one side of the vehicle to swap these things. Beyond that, we have one electrical connector that does all our high voltage and low voltage. We have some quick disconnect cooling, and then we just have 2 bolts on the driver's side. Take those out, roll the cart up, take it out, just do the whole thing in reverse.
That's very cool. I got my poster. Yeah.
Now, are you competing with like NASCAR pit crews yet, or are we talking a little bit more time than that?
Not quite NASCAR pit crew speed, but we're at about 2.5 minutes for swaps right now.
Wow. That's super cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, this is impressive, guys. I don't know if you realize, but just finishing the race is like a huge thing. I've done some racing, some gas stuff, and just finishing is like an accomplishment. It's pretty wild. So yeah, when's your next race?
Yeah, so our next race is September 15th, I think. That'll be an 8.5 and a 6.5 hour race, Saturday, Sunday. Whole goal of that race is just to keep developing this thing. We're going to try and put some aero on it, try and keep it cheap, and then just keep cranking along.
Are you going to make?
Will you have to?
Oh, go ahead.
Will you have to swap those batteries like 5 or 6 times in?
If our efficiency improves, we'll have to swap about every hour and a half. So what's that? 4 to 7 times, depending on efficiency. So the last race we did 21 stops or 21 swaps, and that's including a bit of downtime. We had a little bit of repairs to do. Had a crash. So.
And so, how many packs do you have ready to go, charged up for a race then?
So we have 3 packs and 2 chargers. So each pack up 36 kilowatt hours, and we charge at 18. We're only using the middle 60%. So we just round robin those, and we can go continuously as long as we have power on the track.
And that's DC fast charging then, or what?
So each one of those chargers is effectively level 2. We just took a bunch of onboard vehicle chargers and put 8 of them in a box and called that one charger.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, if you haven't watched, Art Blast has been on the channel twice now, and I think we talked a lot about that on your second appearance, right, Ben? Yeah. So yeah, if you're watching this now, go back and watch the episode with Art Blast. It's a lot of information on their lemons runs. Yeah.
That's so cool. Now, did you change or learn anything from State of Charge, or that you're going to implement?
Honestly, a lot of the thermal stuff is very interesting. And honestly, it's been 2 weeks, but I'm still trying to digest everything I learned at that conference. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, the biggest one is the safety. We specifically spent a lot of time making sure when you disconnect this battery, you're not going to hurt someone. There's a few things we want to change. Specifically, we need to make sure we're bringing our HV bus down low enough when you disconnect. When we last tested it did, but we need to make sure below 40 volts. We were testing below 80. So.
Interesting. Okay. Super cool. So, all right. Yeah. And now, Jonathan, he's working on his Honda. What'd you think of the show, and what'd you take away from it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was great. It was like super fun and really dense with information. Like everyone has said, I'm still digesting a lot of stuff that I learned. But one of the really interesting, cool things I think right now in this whole area and this industry is that it's maturing into this like really like professional industry. And you could see that at the conference because a lot of people were talking about standards being developed and safety protocols. And, you know, it's really like moving from the, you know, backyard garage shop into like professional level industry, really, you know, and like people developing, you know, there was a group there that registered as manufacturers, right? So they're like literally manufacturing brand new vehicles with brand new VIN numbers and marketing them, which, you know, is so cool to learn about. So that was really cool to see that. And I think the other thing that was really fun was just like meeting people. And I think we probably all had this experience where like you talk to people in your life and, you know, they ask you, you know, what you up to? And you're like, oh, I'm converting this car to electric. And then, you know, they get interested because it's kind of cool and they ask you a few questions, but like pretty soon when you start to get into like the weeds about it, they kind of glaze over and like don't know what you're talking about. But like this was like a place where you could sit and talk to people for like, you know, half an hour, and just you know, they're into it the way you are, and they want to talk about all the minutia of it. And so that was just really great. That was super
fun. You know, so I want to just riff on the back of that. If someone were to ask me the same question, what I got was something similar. People are taking it to a new level. So for instance, there was a Terry can help me with this one. The gentleman who did the coolant diagram with the charger. Which company is that?
That's EV Muscle Cars. Kevin Erickson, also known as Mr. Mopar Man.
Okay. And if you look here at his presentation, what he did was so fun. He broke this down. So if you look here, I know that it's not a great picture of the slide, but if you look, he's got everything that would need to be heated or cooled. And we're going to have to deal with this, Scott, on the East Coast.
Oh, big time.
Big time. Yeah. And also, very much. Yeah. And in Denver, they also have to deal with it.
We could use one of them right now, actually.
Yeah, we could use some cooling. It's humid. So you know, so what do you do about this heating and cooling? So this is all his lines, and I won't go too far into it, but just to let you know, here's all the lines. But then he would highlight, okay, now I'm running the chiller, right? Now this is like air traffic control. Oh, let's see, maybe I go back. Well, I didn't take all the photos, but you could see the idea is he was showing you the path, and then he would highlight what system is working. And it's very similar to Tesla in that he's got 7 different settings, and I think Tesla has 8, something like that. But very cool. That was a great presentation. I really enjoyed that one. And then there were a lot of personal stories. I don't have a lot of photos of this car, but this is like a serious car. Skyline? Yeah. R32.
Yeah, all-wheel drive, dual Tesla motor, GTR. That took best of show at Electrify Expo, Denver.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Snow and I got to film that after Long Beach on Gas and Go with Snow. Get a good look at that.
Nice.
EVzilla, EVzilla.
Oh, is that the Instagram?
No, that's the name of it. It's Electrified Imports, I think is their Instagram. But the name of the car it's on the plate is EVzilla, but Snow calls it EVzilla because apparently the general car is known as Godzilla. So since it's an EV version of Godzilla, it's EVzilla. Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, it's awesome. So, and it's no slouch. So that's actually pretty cool. No.
And I don't know if you got to see, but he can transfer power. So he can be rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. So he can control how much burnout he can do or have super traction 50-50.
Wow. Pretty slick. Someone want to find me the Instagram for me and put it in the chat. So cool. Just people taking it for real. And then also the personal connections. Everybody was super cool.
Tom Summers.
Yeah, the excitable Tom Summers was there. He drove out.
Oh, God. I love that guy.
He's amazing. Tom didn't go to the conference. No, he went to State of Charge, and then he hung around. Yeah, so I'm not State of Charge, Electrified Expo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was the other conference, like literally walkable right next door. But he drove in and hung out with us at night and stuff. That was pretty cool. And then this year, this vehicle here is like a complete Atom drive system, and underneath is like a complete hot rod chassis. So this is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like you wouldn't even know what's going on. Kind of like an Icon 4x4. If anybody's familiar, they just haven't gone full EV yet, but that company kind of paved the way for making resto mods serious. You know, so pretty cool. And there was a lot of highlighted people. Amp Revolt, Brandon, he's in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He wasn't there, but he got highlighted a few times. And then Sarah Lyon and Lauren started a new company called Nice, which is like new.
Nice.
Convert your vehicle basically. And they
No,
had a cool
no
car.
internal combustion engine. NICE, no internal combustion engine.
They're gonna kill me, Terry. They're gonna kill me. I'm gonna get so they're gonna get mad.
It's a great name.
That's true. Yeah, I can't believe I forgot. But anyway, sorry about that. But yeah, so then also pretty cool, a Nissan Leaf motor in a Nissan Frontier. And believe it or not, Legacy is selling the entire system, I think, for 10 grand.
Wow.
Yeah, like the whole system. And it's like a little bit better than a Hyper 9. So, you know, it's a lot of stuff's happening. I had a Fiero at one point, and I had an AC50 in it. I bought it from someone who converted it, and then I just kind of got it back on the road. You can also buy an old conversion and, you know, get it back on the road, which I've mentioned in a few of these podcasts before. Super cool stuff. And then Inspire EV's got the Revolt system. That thing's a monster. I mean, look at that thing. It's crazy. And it's beautiful. You know, it's just so nice looking. Pretty cool. This was a Classic EV Conversions. Is that right, Terry? They're in Denver. Is that the place
Yep.
where we were?
Yep, Classic EV Conversions out of Inglewood.
Yeah, and that was super cool. And then the next day, or actually on Monday, you had a little extra time, and so did I. So we did a little bit of welding at Classic EV, which I thought was super cool. So
Yeah, no, that's great.
yeah. How did the lesson go? Did you learn anything?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, between you and Nick, definitely learned something. It's been, you know, I took a welding class about 10 years ago or so, before I didn't even own a welder at the time. So I learned all the theory and then didn't ever get to really practice it. And, you know, then I started welding, you know, a few years back when I built the truck, but I'm just good enough welder to weld on my own stuff. I wouldn't try to, you know, farm out my welding to other people. But as I was telling you, Ron, my problem was consistency. Sometimes I'll lay down a bead and I'll be like, oh yeah, this is amazing. And then, you know, 3 minutes later, I'll lay down the worst looking, weak, no penetration bead there is. So definitely appreciate you taking some time to give me some tips and tricks.
Oh, no problem. You did great. You were a good student. I didn't have to send any notes home or anything like that. That was pretty good. All right. So let's get to Scott, the featured guest tonight, on location. Oh, here's Terry. Let me just show you Terry real quick. Doing some welding. I have a photo of you. I found it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Coming up right here. Oh, it's whenever I switch for some reason. Here he goes. He's doing his weld test here. He had already done his weld, and this, I think, passed. So he's smashing it on the back side. Oh, this one didn't pass. Okay.
That was the first one.
Penetration. Okay. Not enough penetration. You got to go hotter, Terry. You got to go hotter.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get to the featured guest, Scott. You participated in the EVLC.
Yeah.
Why are you going electric? What's your problem? Are you crazy?
Because, well, you mentioned I was a professor. I am a professor, scientist, and my research and my career has always had a had something to do with sustainability or environmentalism. I researched solar panels and new types of photovoltaics and new, more efficient LEDs and things like that. And decided to leave academia for a number of reasons, but have always also been a huge car guy. And I think I was conceived in the back of a Ford truck. So all of this stuff sort of comes to a T. And I started this about a year ago in my barn, which I don't have anymore. And now I have this shop, which is much better. And bought an old Ford truck. And I am really interested in making sure that old trucks, which benefit from having something like an electric motor, which is smoother and easier to maintain and quieter and less buzzy, trying to keep them on the road. Because like I said earlier, one of my lines is, the nice thing about an old truck is that all the steel and all the cables and all the plastic and everything in that truck is already in the shape of a truck. And it's a pretty good looking vehicle, and it's much more charismatic than a new truck, in my opinion. So trying to modernize them is my goal with this company.
Nice.
What era of trucks are you doing?
What's that? Oh,
Sorry.
What
Yeah.
era?
what truck are you doing?
What era? 6th gen F-Series trucks. So that's 72 to 79.
Yeah.
Right now I have a 77 Super Cab. I like the Super Cab a lot because I think that the modern person on average would like to have a back seat for whatever. There's the truck there. There's the barn that I started out in. And there's me opening the Tesla motor, which is now behind me. It's still not in. But I guess to not take up too much time, if you could pull that picture up. One thing I'm kind of
We're gonna
proud
walk
of.
around too.
Are we gonna have enough signal? I'm worried that we might.
We
run
could
out.
try
We
it.
could try it. Yeah.
Well, we could try it. That's all.
Oh,
we
you could
do.
join on your phone.
Yeah, I'll draw it on the phone.
Oh, that'd be great.
Okay, tell us more, and I'll pull up. That
Okay,
other
cool.
photo.
So the thing that I'm kind of proudest of right now that I've done, or what I'm excited about, is I finally got the rear axle member done.
Which
So,
picture? This one?
yeah.
Okay.
So there it is. I wanted to delete the entire drive line, the entire drivetrain. So obviously the engine's gone, the transmission's gone, the drive shaft is gone, and the entire rear member is gone, including the differential and everything. So there's a Dadeon axle that it looks a lot like Johnny's, but it's a little different in a few important ways. But I sort of CAD'd it up, and I have a fabricator up here in the suburbs of Philadelphia who's an automotive engineer and really cool guy. His name's John, and his shop is called Anderhart Speed, and you should check out some of his stuff he's done. Anderhart, he builds crazy hot rods with completely custom suspension and chassis. So anyway, that's a rear axle that we put together and just had fabricated, and I've moved the shock mounts, and they're all bolt-on. So I used the original shock mounts, but moved them to a different part on the frame that was already pre-drilled. And so the shocks sort of mount. You can't really see it in this picture, but they mount to the back of the axle there. And I have a small,
Let's go see it.
a small drive unit that's going to go right in the middle there. With
So what
with
we're
half
gonna do
axle.
is we're gonna switch over right now. So I got to turn the sound off of here. And Talik, you want to carry the vibe for a second? I'm just gonna switch over.
So this is pretty cool. It's so as you said, it's kind of like Johnny's. In fact, you're using a small drive also, just like Johnny too. Yeah. That's, yeah. So if you haven't checked out J5 Johnny, he's got a Hilux 1972 Hilux where he did a Dadeon axle and a small drive unit, and it's hung underneath. It hangs a little low, but he added big knobby tires to add some ground clearance so that he could still have, I think, at least 6 or 8 inches of ground clearance with his small drive units hanging kind of down there.
Yeah, so it's interesting you bring that up. There's a couple ways in which this is a little different from his. I actually don't lose any ground clearance with this because the motor's going to be mounted up. Because of the CVs that I'm using, I have enough angle play where I can actually have some built-in downward yaw to the actual hubs. So I'll lose maybe like an inch in my CAD drawing anyway. So we'll see how it is in real life, but I haven't mounted it up yet. In fact, that's kind of what Ron's here trying to help me do, get the engine mounted or get the motor mounted.
All right, we're gonna give this a shot. We're going for it.
all right, let's go. Oh, maybe stop presenting on the main screen as well. There we go. And we just need sound on the phone. All right, I need a timestamp so I can trim out this chunk. But yeah, Ron, if you got your phone mic on. Oops. Technical difficulties. All right, we got video. We just need audio, Ron. Unfortunately, I am not there, so I can't tell him in person to turn on his mic.
Are you a presenter? Can you turn on his mic?
Oh well, maybe I can unmute him. Let's see here.
No, you know what? Yeah,
no.
the phone is gonna fix itself in a second. I had to restart it.
Okay.
Yeah. You guys can still hear us. Yeah, you know what? We could try.
We could try it. I just
All
don't know if we'll have enough.
Let's
signal.
just try it. Okay.
Right.
Can you?
Okay, here we go.
This is the shop. This is the truck. So I'm actually for the first round I'm using battery boxes from Brandon at Ampere Volt, who I've come to get to know. He's about an hour and a half or 2 hours away from me. And so what's neat about these old trucks is that they have a real ample amount of space down the transmission tunnel. So if you take this 400 cubic inch motor out and you take out the C6 transmission it came with, and you take out the drive shaft, you've deleted about 795 pounds.
Yeah, and that's where the
too far
revolt
off
motor goes in. It's
400 volt test
Yeah.
unit.
Can you guys hear us?
Yeah, it might be a little delayed, but yeah, we got you.
All right.
And the other cool thing is about Brandon's boxes, a lot like a lot of other boxes, but they're just made of aluminum. So the battery boxes themselves really don't weigh that much at all either. So all in all, with the Dadeon axle, which is also, you can pick it up. I mean, it probably weighs 50 pounds, maybe 60 pounds. All in all, it's like maybe a 50-pound difference from stock. All batteries in, motor in, and everything. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's one thing I really wanted to.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Wanted to keep.
All right. I want to go over to the Dadeon axle. You got to see this thing. Let me know if it's working.
I'll just say, when you show something, just make sure you hold for a minute, just so that the image can load.
So this is the axle I built. I had it powder coated.
Can you guys see that?
Yeah, I noticed it's backwards from the way Johnny has it. He's got the U going forward, and you have it on the backside.
That's right. Yeah. So my motor, the main portion of the motor will be up here, sort of where the gas tank used to live. He put, if I'm not mistaken, he put a i3 battery pack in basically under the bed.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just putting a bunch of basically scattering battery boxes in the engine bay and then through the transmission tunnel as well. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm really trying to keep the weight distribution what it was.
And this looks so cool. It's got it like some sort of powder coat with the two-tone situation happening. Can you guys see that? The gray?
Yeah. So what hubs did you end up welding to your axle?
They are
Or did you
hubs, from RGP. They're a California company that manufactures hubs for like dune racers and Baja racers and things like that, like Dakar builds and stuff. So they're plenty strong. But the nice thing is they're 5 on 5.5 bolt pattern, which is exactly what old Fords are. So I get nice strong hubs, and I don't have to worry about putting any sort of adapter plate on them to get the rotors on. So that's cool too.
So are you re-gearing the drive unit or doing a quaff limit slip or anything like that, or?
No, straight out from the diff on the rear drive unit, because I have no other gearing. It's just since I got rid of the differential, it's just going straight to the wheel.
Oh, are you changing the gears inside the Tesla?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Straight to the wheels. If I had the diff in, then obviously you would have to re-gear the Tesla motor, because you'd have such a high ratio. It would be,
Mm-hmm.
What size
Cool.
tire are you gonna run there?
What size are these tires?
Oh my God, they're huge.
I forget off the top of my head, to be honest.
So like a 35 or something.
31 by 10.5, 50 R15, yeah. So 31s.
31. Cool. And then we're making the frame prototype here. We did some welding. That was cool. Nice. It's a beautiful truck.
Oh yeah, the truck's really cool.
Yeah, let's see inside.
It's a little bit taken apart because I've been working with some wiring and stuff. But
Come on, that steering wheel. That's it.
yeah. And
Cool
it sounds
stuff.
good when you close the door, which is nice.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like an EV. Cool. That's awesome, man. And do you have a target show or date that you're headed towards?
Well, I mean, I'd like to bring it to State of the Charge next year.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Okay.
Drive it
How
out.
how many batteries are you fitting in the tunnel?
So I was gonna do 10 in the bay and then 6 down the tunnel.
Hmm.
But it depends. It does depend a little bit. I also could do 4 in the tunnel and 12 in the bay, because if you look here, these are the old motor mounts, right? And the motor mounts can come out, and I've got this U-bar down here.
Oh, yeah.
So I could fit 2 down here if something happened with the transmission tunnel. From my like measurements and stuff, I should be able to put a 4-pack right where the transmission used to be, and be able to use the transmission cross members, which is really nice too.
And these are modules from a Model S, right?
Yeah.
Have you thought about the new longer sticks?
Yes, I have, but you can't fit one in the engine bay
Uh,
without going through the transmission tunnel.
Can you go through the transmission tunnel? Is that enough space?
You can, but then you run out of space. You can't build. You just can't make 400 volts by having only the long ones.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, no, I did. I was sort of attracted to using them initially, but it's nice to be able to use. You know, Brandon's boxes, Ampere Volts boxes are, you know, they're pricey, as you guys may have seen on the website and everything. But what's really nice about them is the way they come together. So basically, you buy these kits, and there's all these for CNC'd aluminum parts, and then they're all, you know, countersunk screws that sort of come together, and then inside of the walls, inside the actual box itself, there's these tracks that the metal tabs on the Model S packs modules have, and they literally slide in. And then after they're slid in, they get locked in with these 3D printed hard little wedges.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't move at all. They're like really, really rigid inside, but you can slide them out without having to take the entire box apart, which is pretty neat.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And look at the bed. Was this repainted?
Yeah, sadly. But not a bad paint job, but
Looks cool.
it's a little dusty.
Nice. All right. Well, that's cool. All right. We're going to wrap it up, and we'll have our little after show. If people have questions, jump in. And what kind of drive unit is this? This is a small, right?
Small, yeah. People ask me, you know, why did I go with the small? And my answer is that I just was really matching the power from the factory, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted to, maybe this is the wrong choice. We'll see down the line. I'm not sure, because most people think I should have went with a large unit in the rear. But I'm really interested in trying to make the truck have the same specs it had when it was new.
Yeah.
You know? And this is really, really, really close. It has like 30 foot-pound, or I think 30 foot-pounds less torque, but pretty much the exact same horsepower, like 3 or 4 more horsepower, apparently.
You got to start somewhere.
But that motor, I can tell you, that 50-year-old motor that was in there probably had about 30% of the horsepower.
Oh, yeah. I mean, give me a
Oh, wow.
break. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, the other thing about the small drive is that, you know, according to some, it's a little bit more reliable than the large drive unit, and it doesn't have the same coolant leak problem that the large drive does. However, there are solutions with being able to do the coolant delete, but with the small drive, you don't have to worry about that. However, it would be good to get you in touch with John, because he could probably share some experience. He's destroyed a couple of drive shafts,
Yeah.
but he could probably tell you how that happened. It was maybe the it wasn't exactly straight or something like that. But
I
the,
mean,
the issue was,
half axles coming out of CVs on his motor. Yeah.
yeah, he ripped it right off on the second
Wow.
time.
Piston snap. Wow. That's
Wow.
yeah.
That's wild.
But since you guys' projects are so similar, it'd be really great to have a chat with the two of you together.
Yeah, I sent him a message on Instagram, but I don't really know how else to get a hold of him. He hasn't written back, but I would love to get in touch with him. Obviously, I followed the build that he did and everything. It's pretty obvious that I've taken some inspiration from that. So
I'll see what I can do. I see him
all right.
almost every other day, so I'll try to make sure that he connects with you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Todd.
Cool.
So was
All
that
right,
truck originally not four-wheel drive then? That's a rear-wheel drive only truck?
Rear-wheel drive came from Midway, Texas. The bumper, it's too dark in the room to show you the bumper, but it has such a cool bumper. It has.
Let's try. We got to show them
All
the
right.
bumper.
We can try, yeah.
All right, we're gonna get the bumper. You got to see this thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but here on the side over here, this is a big white bumper. It's like,
Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
so
Oh,
let's
yeah,
see what it
Texas.
says. Midland, Texas, and then on the side it said Rogers Ford Sales. So it's like the dealer bumper. It weighs like 200 pounds. It's super serious.
Huh. That's wild.
Yeah,
It's a custom-made bumper for that dealership.
yeah.
Isn't that wild? I guess that was like a normal thing back then. Now they've just put the little dealer plate around your license plate. Back then they gave you a whole bumper. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why the frame is so clean. I mean, there's not a spot of rust on
You
it.
got to get out of Jersey to see these things, you know.
It would already be dirt by now. It was
Yeah.
a Jersey truck.
Oh, true. Yeah. All right. Well, that was cool. All right. So let's wrap it up and then we'll do a little after show if people have questions or whatever. Follow Scott and Motors on Instagram.
I'll try.
Yeah.
I'll try to do more stuff on Instagram.
You're
It's so
doing
bad.
great. You're doing great.
Try.
Now you got you're in the community. Yeah. So, all right. Well, cool. Thank you so much. And don't forget, I have a EV class coming up. I'm trying my best to get my mini truck done for the class. But if you're in New Jersey and you want to learn about EVs, and also maybe you come up and we'll feature your axle.
Planning on
Bring
it.
your axle up. So that'd be pretty cool. And the mini truck's coming along, learning a lot along the way. You always learn more every build you do. You're like, wait a minute, I didn't think about that. I didn't even think about cables before, you know. So, all right. And Terry, thank you again for putting together an incredible show. Definitely have part 2. And, this time you got to have like a flame with a truck driving through it. I don't know how you're going to top this past year. I'm not sure what you're going to do, but you got to do something. So, all right. Well, cool. What's that?
I'll keep that in mind. The flaming jumps.
Yeah, flaming, like just light a car on fire. And actually, you know what'd be cool? People talk about fire safety. What if we had like an actual demo from the fire department, Because, they always talk about it, but then we should just try it out. I don't know.
We actually, last year, we did have a first responder, and they did a whole presentation on thermal runway, and they showed a lot of video of, what happens and why it's bad. And then they showed the blanket that you can get, to help smother it and all that. But it was super, Pat at Inspire is a firefighter too. So.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you, Terry. And Talik, anything exciting happening on the West Coast? What's going on?
Well, Snow and I, we got a couple of things lined up. By the way, I just texted Johnny. He says I send me your profile information. Anyway, so on Gas and Go with Snow, this Saturday we should be filming the Hummer in its current diesel state. I believe we got a F-150 Lightning. We're gonna do some challenge stuff with it. We're trying to get a Cybertruck to go in the mix, but all the Cybertrucks in the area are going north to Tesla or X Takeover. So, but we're gonna be doing some stuff filming with the Humvee, and we're gonna do some other challenge stuff. Some cool stuff coming up with the Gas and Go Snow, and then I should be getting a couple of videos out here pretty soon. I just been kind of swamped with editing though.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, we just did the Ferrari. Check that car out. It's not electric, but it's a pretty sweet ride. And then also definitely check out the electric E-Type. That's the first one in the U.S. done by electrogenic. There's other EV converted E-types, but that's the first one that company has done in the U.S. So
Is that a
definitely
kit
check out.
or is that an actual
No,
E-type?
that is a real 1966 E-type, and it's electrogenic has a full kit that goes in and bolts in and does not need to cut the car. So it's fully reversible to satisfy all of those purists of like, oh, you destroyed the car. No, you didn't. You just changed the power, and it's got a few different options. But that thing is so smooth. In fact, that video has a lot of driving footage. He got to drive with the owner. In fact, he got to drive it with the owner around Coronado. So yeah.
Wow.
Cool. It's exciting. And also the EVLC is going to have a class on the 16th, 17th, and 18th. I will be there to help out.
Scott, are you coming out?
Scott, are you
coming
coming out?
Can't.
No, he's
I
got stuff.
Family vacation that week, sadly. Yeah.
New business, family. He's got to finish welding this thing. So he's got stuff to do. All right, cool. Yeah, we can't always be at everything. That's why we do the virtual show. That kind of helps out. All right, well, that was good. And thanks, Carter, for joining. And always good seeing John and Tyler Joy. I can't wait. When's your next race again, Tyler? You probably said it before. I just want to know.
Yeah, September 15th at High Plains Raceway. Everyone should come out and take a look at it.
Hey,
Nice.
definitely remind me, Tyler. Send me a text because I'll go out to High Plains and watch it.
Dude. Yeah,
For sure.
that is cool.
Tyler,
All right.
I haven't forgot about you. I owe you an email. Let's get a big orange cable sticker on the car.
Heck yeah.
Nice. There you go. Does it have like a silver lining? Like,
Is it shielded?
is it a shielded sticker? I mean, come
No, they're just non-conductive.
on. Work with me here. All right. That's good. All right. Thanks so much for listen. I'm very appreciative that everyone's here. I really am. I think it's great. Rising tide lifts all boats. I love seeing everybody every week. All right. We'll see you next week.